Eliteria, you are next. Would you like to share with everyone the kind of exciting process that you are currently going through?
Yeah, I'm a little bit sick right now, so.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna give a short update. So, the land's a lot big. So basically, we're trying to buy some land. We found a creative installment, and like a creative payment plan with the landowner through the 30-day land program. And we're having ongoing conversations, me and my husband, about like where our priorities are, what we're gonna first do, what we're gonna delay, and stuff. So the land's in Crete in Greece. We're currently in Switzerland working. So we are currently we're looking at budgets right now and seeing how much money we want to put in the house, because the house is it needs renovation, but it's livable. We found out the land's a lot bigger than we thought it was. We thought it was about 15 acres, but it was all in square meters and stuff. So we got a bit lost in translation, and it's 60 acres.
4 times as big as what you thought it was.
Yeah, way bigger, and that's kind of put him off, like it's too much land. And I mean, I'm very motivated, but the longer, like obviously in the beginning I was very enthusiastic and stuff, but now it's kind of like a logical like thing. Like 60 acres is a lot of land. It's kind of unnecessary. But at the same time, I'm like, I said to him, even if we don't do anything with it, like we can just have it and that's it. And then we could sell it on, or have some type of creative community that want to come on and adopt the land and stuff. Like I have a massive family, like really big, and they're all very creative and in touch with the land. So I'm pretty sure that someone would want to come on the land and take over like an acre or two. The land costs 120k, and our offer was to pay the 20k by December, November, and then pay off the rest each month. Basically, my question for today was, are there any other things you could think of off the top of your head of installments? Because or other ways that we could install 90 to 120k that would maybe be appealing to them, like another offer that we could give them.
I think you're like, it's whatever works for you. In this scenario, you are literally creating the agreement from scratch. You're in a very strong position. For people that don't know, this piece of land that Eliteria had a successful offer bid on. It's been on the market for handful of years. Is it? What is it?
Nearly 4 years. It could be longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the discussion we had just before she had the offer accepted was like, any money in that scenario down and the balance paid over even a long period of time is better than nothing. Looks like they're not going to sell it in any other way. So I think you're in a really strong position. Also, if you are, like we discussed on the last call for the land program, if you are genuinely not 100% dead set on getting it, that actually puts you in a stronger position, because you're not negotiating from a place of this must work. You're negotiating from a place of, well, I'll tell you what works for us, take it or leave it. So I would just sit down with your husband and be like, what works for us?
That's what we said today. We just kind of discussed, like, we have until November to dwell on it, which is very empowering, because it's like, it's not coming from a desperate or hyper place. It's coming from a very steady, mellow area. So like, I'm just thinking like in November we'll go and see it. We just agreed that it's all about the feeling. Once we get on the land, like, are we feeling like it's ours? Are we feeling like it's foreign? Like, you know, but at the same time, he was kind of saying that he loves the position, like the place of the area that it's on, because it's very easy and accessible to get to town, but it's still like a 20-minute motorbike ride away. So it's like a good, like, you've got access to community. It's just you're on your own in a way, which is nice. So yeah, and I've still got other people in Crete looking out for other land, smaller, because now I've put out like 5 to 10 acres, just to keep that, like, if there's something else until November, that once we go there that we can go and check out other things.
Romani, hey, you are 40 acres in the US, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's Romani, but don't worry about it. Everybody always no problem at all. It's an ancient language name, so most people butcher it. It's totally fine. Yes, I do. I have 40 acres in Michigan, actually, so not too maybe far away from Canada. We can like see it from across the water a little bit. But yeah, so I just wanted to honestly pop on and say just hello and kind of just introduce myself to the community. I joined a little bit less than 2 weeks ago, I think, when you were asking for people with land. So yeah, I mean, I have, like I said, 40 acres. We're in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So for those of you who may not be very clear, a lot of people will know that in the United States, Michigan is that hand. Everybody to, oh, I live here, you know, on the hand. But there's actually a little piece that's attached to Wisconsin that's above Michigan that also belongs to Michigan. So that's where we are, in the Upper Peninsula. And honestly, I have had lots of experience with creating community and crafting experiences. I have a degree in religious studies with a minor in philosophy, so that automatically means I'm crazy and I love it. But about 4 years ago, we just hit a space where we viewed the world very differently. I'm sure most of us did, you know, that 2019, 2020, you know, time frame where most of us might have been like, oh, okay, and started to do that thing they're calling waking up. And then I actually got really sick, and I'm currently dealing with some with the continuations of those things, perhaps for the rest of my life. But it became very apparent to my wife and I that like we could no longer. We were being called to something deeper. God, the universe, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, was calling us to something deeper. And we realized that we had to pull the trigger. And so we literally just like jumped in head first with zero understanding of what we were doing, other than knowing that like we couldn't do it a different way. Mm-hmm. So we sold all of our stuff. We sold our big house. We sold everything. We moved to the 40 acres here. We're now in a tiny 1906 built farmhouse that had literally no running water before we started. I'm very happy to say we now have some normal, regular things like a toilet. You know what I mean? So like, that's exciting. And we have goats and we have chickens, and we're in the process of getting ducks. And we're kind of twofold here. So we have an LLC, a limited liability company called The Joyful Shelter, but we also have a nonprofit that's called also The Joyful Shelter, but it's fixed towards it's a Hinduistic based concept, but it's really for all faiths. And so what we're looking to do is building a kind of intentional living community combined with an ashram farming type space, where the ultimate vision is to have temple spaces and healing yurts and a red tent for women and bonfires and drum circles and a place to host retreats, yoga retreats, art retreats, farm to table eating. We're going to have a vegan, vegetarian, maybe kosher kitchen on the property where we teach how to, you know, you grow it in your garden, you bring it to cook kind of thing. Our son is really passionate in like animal husbandry. So we would love to teach people how to own animals, but in a way that like doesn't require you to eat them. I know someone on here said they have sheep. I think it was maybe Virginia, or somebody said they have sheep. Maybe it was Kim. It was like, I can never eat my babies. I feel the same way. But just how to live symbiotically with your animal, right? Like the animal doesn't have to be a meat animal. Like what can you own? Like goats can make milk and cheese and soap, and, you know, chickens have eggs, et cetera, all the things. And I don't necessarily have a specific question, but where we've hit the wall is we have the space, we have the ideas, right? Like yurts and tents and tenting platforms and a dormitory ultimately, hopefully. But it's the funding, right? Like the vision is huge and the money is shrinking faster than we can, you know, I'm sure everybody feels that way. So it's how to access financing. So I'm trying to look up, you know, grants and proposals, and I'm crafting them and I'm sending them out, et cetera. You know, but how do we get those angel investors? How do we get those people who believe in the vision of this? I think they call it, the younger generation calls it like New Earth or whatever, but like, I have kids in my 20s, so they keep me, you know, informed, kind of. But so that, and then also, you know, it's all fine and well for a million people surrounding you to say, yeah, I want this. I want to farm. I want to live off the land. I want to get away from those governmental agencies. I want sovereignty. And then you go, oh, cool, I have property. Would you like to come and help? And then people are like, oh, I can't do that because I have to work or I have to pay my bills or this or that. So it's the twofold piece of how do we engage in a way that like helps people to not even necessarily take the leap, but to recognize that it's possible, right? And like we're living proof. You can just take the leap and jump in, or you can build up your stuff and get there. But we're just noticing that it's a lot harder to find the community than we thought, because so many people talk about it, but then they don't do it. And then how do we build the structure that invites people to come? You know, right now, if you want to come pitch a tent, great. Like got some rainwater barrels. Like we're happy to help you shower in a rainwater barrel. You know what I mean? But like, how do we get the infrastructure in? And, you know, like I said, I'm religion and herbalist and a yoga teacher and a sound bath healer. My wife is an auto mechanic, you know, so we don't have the, you know, the community around us to be like, oh yeah, I can build you this outdoor shower. I can build, you know, we're learning everything from scratch. And my wife the other day, as we were cleaning out the goat barn, was like, I'm too old for this. I'm like, we're only 40. Don't say that. But I think, you know, it's become very apparent to us that community is number one, with finances being number two. Sometimes those are reversed. So I'm just excited to get into this community and hopefully find people who I can learn from, who I can share with, but also who can help us in this direction. Because ultimately the 40 acres is great, but if we can't actualize the dream, then we just have land. And still great, of course, and I'm happy and blessed that all of our neighbors, we're zoned agriculture rural. And so all of our neighbors are also like that. And literally nobody bugs each other. Literally nobody bothers each other. Nobody bugs each other. If you get stuck in 10 feet of Michigan snow, they're coming to you with their plows and plowing you out and exchanging pies and offering help and cutting your wheat field for you and giving you hay, and they're taking hay as payment. Like they're great. But they're also already established, right? So like they're not looking to like transplant onto our space because they have their spaces already. And the vision there is different. They're like meat cows and things like that. And we really want to create a space where people come to rest, where people get a chance to take a break from life and just recalibrate, where we can help support with anxiety and stress and depression and just getting people back to putting their feet on the earth. And that's not quite the same thing as my neighbor who's butchering his cows, although yay him, like yay him. So yeah, those are I don't know if I have any questions, but I'm trying to join as much as possible to just get out there and because the only way we're going to do it is together. So yeah, just sort of here trying to be as open as possible.
Nice. Well, yeah, that was a super cool introduction. I love your passion as well. And I think that passion and that vision is the kind of key to the challenges you're currently facing. So I think if you build the community, you can probably naturally also fund the stages of the project for the future. Because if you're drawing people that really believe in what you wish to create, and that passion will be infectious, some of those are also potential investors, right? So the community and the investors aren't separate. All of the money that currently sits on our balance sheet as investment comes from within our community. So, you know, we are self-funded via the people that wish to be involved in the project and also wish to help it achieve and reach success. So I think by whatever is going to unlock the community for you is also going to help you to get funded. Especially you're not in a position where you need to buy the land. So you've got that first massive financial hurdle out of the way, which is massive. So a question back to you would be, how are you currently sharing the vision? Because it sounds amazing, like, and it's the passion behind it that really makes people want to buy into it. But I'm curious, you said you struggled to get beyond verbal commitment. So it's very common, like, yeah, this is amazing, love to be a part of that. I'll come and be a part, like, oh no. But I always like to, any problem, my personal approach to it is like, what am I not doing here? So we can blame the people, but we can also turn around and say, well, what am I not doing that is either attracting the right people or making the right people not wish to commit? So what's your current process? And if I've got any insights, I'll try and kind of, guide if possible.
No, that's a great question. Yeah, we're super blessed because we were able to purchase our land in cash outright. So like we own it. It's all good there. That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, I have social media. I talk about it on social media a lot. I'm currently in the process of building a website through Squarespace. So trying to get that space out there. I verbally talk to people. I, community network in my community. So I also teach yoga and sound baths and cacao ceremonies and stuff in the community. And I'm always talking about what's going on. I think that my biggest block, honestly, probably is just myself, like how, because I'm first starting out on this so new, it's like the fact that I don't have a website, that needs to happen immediately. You know what I mean? The fact that that I am just verbally communicating, maybe there's other ways to get out there. Like one of the main reasons why I joined Wild Minds was like, I have to do something different because what I'm doing isn't working.
Great. It's great that you got that self-awareness though, and you're taking responsibility for it. That's excellent. So yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, it's just, I think, I think my biggest block is just wanting to make sure that with the resources I currently have, I'm putting in the right financial decisions that can then lead to further financial decisions. I think I have a little bit of some blocks there around like, we do have a chunk of money to spend, but it's like, if I had, so for example, we have about $45,000 to spend into our property. So maybe a good question would be like, if you had that, like if you had kind of no infrastructure at this point, other than like we have a barn for our goats and a coop for our chickens and, greenhouse for our garden. But like beyond that, like if you had that kind of money, like where would you start? Is it like building tent platforms? Is it building a kitchen? Is it building more barns? Like sometimes I'm just not quite sure like where to spend the money, if that makes sense, to then 100%. Draw people in.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great question. And that money will just disappear. We've had it ourselves, right? Because you've got a blank slate, you can put a little bit of money into a load of different things and none of them actually yield anything. And also it's not just your money when you do that, it's your energy. You spread yourself too thin. So this was one of the big lessons we learned at the start. We started trying to do everything straight away, all the farming, all the community, separate homemade thing, loads and loads of different things. And I was just like, this is just not working. We were just burning through cash. So what I now do and what I advise other people to do, so you've got your big vision, right? I really need a way to be able to draw that people can see on the screen. But if you're down here right now, the big vision's up here, right? There's stages to you getting to that final point. Say, just put a figure on it, 5 years in the future or 10 years in the future. You're not going to do everything related to that right now. You want to come right down and like create multiple phases, and you want to call it phase 1. And what you want to do is create what I would call a minimum viable project. So what are the key things that you want to achieve in year 1 of your project? And then you look at that reduced version of the vision, and then you look at what needs to take place to reach that specific point. Otherwise, you've got the vision, great, but you haven't got the money to achieve it. There's so many things that needs to take place. So like I said, once we've got that vision, we can reverse engineer and we can create a really compartmentalized version of it. And then you can then budget that 45K to get you to the end of that stage where you've done enough work to also be investable at another level. And also by that stage, you would have created a community that you can make an informed guess that will have enough people, and you would have achieved enough and built enough momentum that next bit of money will naturally come just because of what you've created here. So really what you want is a kind of phase 1 plan into your vision. You're going to need the basic infrastructure that allows you to host community, because you need the community to get the investment to progress to the next stage. So you're going to want water, electric, accommodation, and like it sounds like food is secondary to the kind of healing space for you. So you'd be very careful entering into food production. You probably know because you've got it on a small scale. It's very demanding. It's very expensive. So like you may want, like the point of a phase 1 is like you want to cut away anything that's completely non-essential to that stage of the vision. So if healing is your vision and healing is your goal, and that's where your community is going to come from, phase 1 wants to include the minimum viable version of the healing space in a way that's within your budget. People can come to the site, they can get their water, have some shelter, maybe have some food if it's within the budget, but you're living the mini vision, you're living the larger vision on a micro basis for that phase 1. So that's absolutely what I would do. It sounds like you've got a clear vision. You just need to kind of phase it down, budget for that, build a community around that basic infrastructure.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for that thought process. And I will be planning. I'm such a planner, so I love that. So I will be picking apart everything and figuring out what's the best next step. But thank you for this. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, great. Welcome. We're very, very glad to have you. I was just going to add one thing, and I think that you kind of touched on it yourself. The reason that you may not have actually activated the community yet is because internally you kind of don't feel ready. You feel like you haven't got, if you're a planner, you're like, I don't feel like I've got a plan that I can actually pull the trigger on here.
Yeah.
So like, once you've got that, you'll probably unlock that community quite naturally. Because I'm a big believer, when you have the vision, the people they just come, they just appear out of nowhere. So sounds like you want to get that right in your own head first, and then you'll be good to go.
Well, we always are our own worst critic, right? And we're always our first barrier, and all these subconscious beliefs people have about themselves. And so I know I'm part of the reason why we're stuck. And so I'm just excited to be part of the community and getting more advice so that we can get unstuck and create the vision.
That's why we're all here. That's the power of these calls as well. It's like it's a peer knowledge base and experience base. So yeah, super cool to have you here, and best of luck, and come to the calls as often as you can. Yeah,
I will.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm guessing your name isn't Mark Hawkins, but I've got Mark Hawkins next. Oh, there you go. I can see Mark.
Hey,
Right.
Mark is
hey
here,
guys.
but I'm the
hello,
talkative one. Hello.
Okay.
So we literally moved in 2 days ago to our small holding in Wales.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. We literally flying by the seat of our pants, totally overwhelmed today. So we've got 20 acres of land,
amazing.
multiple properties, a borehole, a spring, a river.
Wow.
Lots of stuff. And it's one of those moments where we had like this kind of spiritual thing where we just knew this was the one, and we threw all of our eggs into it, and now we're shitting ourselves basically. Right. And thinking, what have we done? So yeah, I mean there's honestly, just being on the call so far has been really useful, just hearing everybody and what everyone's up to. There's a few, I've got a few quick fires. I just put, so how does these calls work? Do we have to ask one question, or
no, like just ask away, like we can be here as long as is needed, really.
If I just sort of, I don't know, should I just shout out all the questions or just do one at a time?
Do your priority questions, then we can do the rounds. If you want to stay on the call and we still got time, then we can come back to kind of lesser priority ones. So let's focus on the most important ones.
Compost, I know it might not be a big priority, but they've got 3 bins here already. They've already started, and we ain't got a clue about compost. We can see that there's eggs in it, there's a bit of lemons in it, and they've already sort of started it. But our biggest fear is just getting like run riot with rats. So we're like, should we even go there, or should we? You can
see something's already been digging at the bottom of it.
It's just a silly thing, but in line with that is the polytunnels. We've got polytunnel fruit cages, we've got allotments, but they're all just massively overgrown. So like we moved in, obviously we're in the UK, in Wales, Carmarthenshire, in July, and we're like, do we tackle that this year? Like we have got the potential to build an intentional community here and run retreats. We run retreats already, so the end goal, the vision is, even within the first year, is to start running retreats here, to start being more sustainable and growing our own vegetables and all that malarkey. So yeah, that's one conundrum. And I'll just chuck in the water one, because you already talked about a borehole. I'm interested why you don't share your borehole water. Why was that you mentioned earlier?
We can't share it publicly, so it can only be consumed privately because it's not regulated and tested. So we can drink it ourselves. If we provide it publicly and someone were to perceive that they got sick from it, we would be in breach of some law or something, and we're kind of exposing the project to a risk.
Cool.
Because we've got a borehole in the spring, and we was going to think about whether we want to start storing the water, and how can we not get that infected, and not getting, was it Legionella or whatever it's called, and anyway, they're the few for now. What any thoughts?
Yeah, so like rats are definitely an issue. We've got grain on site, so we've had like chicken grain, for the pigs and chickens, and we've had an absolute boom in the rat population. On the plus side, I do believe, and there's a great documentary on this called My Little Farm on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you've seen it, but they basically talk about like ecosystem homeostasis, and basically nature will always try and return to a balance. So if you do get rats, as much as it's frustrating, as much as they will eat your feed and they will devastate your crops and stuff like that, some predatory species will naturally emerge because of the proliferation of the rats, there's an abundance of food. So the birds of prey, like we've got owls nesting in our trees and stuff, which is amazing. So eventually you will find the balance where they're there, but they're actually self-managed by the natural ecosystem that forms around the land. So they are, you know, it is
we've got badgers and foxes and owls already. We already know that they're around.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit of compost shouldn't be anything that should cause too much of a rat population. So I wouldn't be particularly worried about that myself, but it depends. It's a kind of personal opinion. So, and also like you're going to have rats. They are just, you cannot get rid of it unless you put down poison, which you don't want to because it ends up everywhere else. Whatever eats the rat is then poison and so on and so forth. You kind of got to accept that they're going to be there to a degree and you can try and manage them. We've got like 3 cats on the farm. We've got a guy that comes out and shoots rats in the actual feed store, and he'll come and he'll shoot like 30 in a night just because there's that many. So yeah, you can kind of manage them, but you're never gonna completely rid yourself of them, I don't think.
Yeah, feral cats is on our list of something to get as well. Yeah.
With regards to clearing it, again, personal decision. You can clear it. It will be overgrown if you don't stay on top of it again by next spring. But if you're looking to run retreats, like you could start as you mean to go on, and you could get people to come out and contribute towards the clearing of a site, and you could have it as your kind of first exposure to the bigger vision. This is what we're going to do. Come and learn about our vision for the site. In the meantime, we're going to get stuck in and clear it. And, you know, it's an experience. You get a bit of labor. You also kind of seed your future community. You get to know people in person, which is a fundamental step. So, yeah, if you're going to do it, you might, and you're up for kind of hosting people immediately. I'd definitely get them out and get them involved with it.
Yeah, we've already put out to people to come, and lots of people were really up for it. But you know, whether they're going to actually come is one other thing. You know, getting people to actually come is another thing. But yeah,
what's the accommodation you guys are in? What is there a house on site or?
So yeah, this is it. I mean, we've got 3 houses actually, 3 different council tax bands. We're just about to. We've been bombarded with letters from them. We've only been here 2 days, and
so we've got a 3-bed house. Next door to us is a 2-bedroomed annex. We've got a 4-bedroom retreat barn,
and an 8-bed bunkhouse.
Oh my god!
No, 8-person bunkhouse. Yeah.
Sounds incredible.
It's pretty freaking epic, honestly. I'm like, what the? Every time I go around it, one step at a time. We're trying to focus on we had dust as thick as that when we moved in this house, so we're only in here at the moment. So yeah.
Wow, exciting stuff. Yeah, I bet you feel pretty overwhelmed with all of that going on, and
yeah, we are. But we're it's nice to be part of this because I've been following you for some time. And one quick one on limited companies and CICs and all that. One of the reasons I've stayed clear of that at the moment, I'm planning on doing it all through self-assessment at the moment, is because I thought you needed to get digital ID to have a limited company or CIC.
We got our accountant to do an authorized corporate service provider. It's called an ACSP, and she is certified, if that's the right word, by the government to be able to do your identity check on your behalf. So you pay for it's like 60 quid to go through some checks with her. She then goes in through her whatever government login, and she says, I am verifying that this person is who they say they are. I have seen their physical ID and whatever, I know them. So some form of her, so she verifies on our behalf. How long that is available for, I don't know.
You can get away with that for,
look, but also it does seem like this is a bit of a rabbit hole, so I can't go into it on the call, but I kind of feel like all of these things that they dress up as mandatory, they always seem to leave some kind of loophole, right? Because these people are operating within the same system, and it's like, and there's also, you can go deeper again and say that from a spiritual karma perspective, they must leave you an option not to do it, to not have the kind of the spiritual karma, the negative spiritual karma. So it's like, you know, in films, they're always telling you what they're doing, because it's like, if you're stupid enough to still do these things, then it's your fault. It's also, I feel like this is like, people are panicking so much about that. But then if you look, it literally is a really easy option. So it's basically, they know that the majority of people will just comply with that, and they will just do it because they're too lazy or they're too ignorant or they don't do the research. So my hope is that that will always be the case, and there'll always be a loophole for people like us that are willing to be a bit more proactive, maybe pay a bit of money, maybe it takes a bit longer. But that was the case. It was simple. It took like an hour in total, start to finish.
What's it called again, Billy?
ACSP, an authorized corporate service provider. So I think that's a broader term for they cover a few things, but they can verify your identity with the government on your behalf.
And can you recommend your person or not?
I can recommend our accountant. Yeah, there's a kind of, there's a little bit of a story related to it. But she
Yeah,
can do
but I
that
mean,
for you,
I mean, at some point, one of the things I've been looking for is an awakened accountant, but I can't seem to find anyone at the moment. I've been looking.
I mean, like you can get anyone to do that service for you. Literally Google it. There'll be someone you can call up, or you know, just like, so have a look. But if not, I can put you in touch with them.
Thank you. Nice to be here, everyone. And if anyone fancies a trip out to Carmarthenshire to our village, then you're welcome.
I'd love to come and see it. It sounds absolutely incredible, guys. It sounds amazing. All those buildings and land. It's brilliant. Like so much potential. So super excited.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being here,
Billy.
guys.
Cheers.
Daisy, you did have your hand up. It's gone down now. Have you still got a question? Kim, come back round to you.
Hi. I was just, would you be able to share like your kind of model around like you growing your vegetables or whatever, and then how you share that, how the whole volunteer works, and how you actually create a profit? Because I suppose you've got to create some sort of profit to be able to keep the thing running. Is there like a model? Because that's the main thing I can't get my head around, is how to create it so that the community can benefit from the food, but to make it in a way that it's sustainable and that you don't end up like me footing the bill for everything. And
100%, it's got to make money. Like there's quite an anti-money kind of mindset when people wake up, and I've been there myself, and it's like the system is bad, money is a part of the system, therefore money is bad, so we don't want to incorporate money into our models. The reality is, if you adopt that mindset, you will very quickly find yourself without any capacity to do anything. And like money is an amazing tool to impact the world. It's like, and tools are like, they can be wielded for good or bad. Like a hammer can smash someone's head in, or it can build something beautiful, right? It's like, it's a tool. I view money exactly the same, and I personally have a big ambition to impact the world, and I've 100% realized and committed to making enough of it to have the impact I wish to have. So for your project, for example, you want people to be able to come in and grow food and take a share of that. There's going to be loads of costs associated with that. It has to work financially. Like Richard Perkins has a great saying. He's like the regenerative farmer that's kind of spawned all of the next generation of kind of regenerative farmers in Europe and all over the world. And he says, like, this is just an example, but with a regenerative farm, you can get trapped in the mindset that it must be 100% regenerative and everything must be perfectly and at the maximum level ecological and all this stuff. Is like, if you go into farming like that, very soon your farm won't exist, because in the real world, you have to balance idealism with practicality. So however you feel about what you want to do, the practical reality might have to look different, because otherwise it just won't function financially. If it doesn't function financially, it doesn't exist. So we can't help anyone if we get trapped in idealism. So that's a bit of a rant there, but basically, yes, it needs to function financially. Our farm runs at a loss, and it's quite a significant loss. We've really struggled to set up the food production system so that it makes money. It's quite a complicated subject. There's a few things. Firstly, we're running at quite a small scale. So our labor costs and a lot of our expenses are the same as if we was running at a big scale. So we haven't achieved the point of kind of, there's a term for it, scale of efficiency or economies of efficiency. So we're running at a small scale. That's part of the problem. However, even if we look forwards, the farm at best, as our calculations show, will always make a loss, just hopefully a smaller one in the future. And something that we didn't understand about Richard Perkins, who is our big inspiration, as amazing as his farm is, he runs his farm off of volunteers. So we've taken his model here, we've run with it, but we don't want to work with volunteers. I find the ongoing volunteer relationship a little bit extractive personally. Like if you speak to these people that go around the world woofing, a lot of them say afterwards, like, oh, I just felt like the farmer was using me to like pay his bills almost, because like you can't literally get by without this labor. So our personal stance is that we want to be able to pay people. So we need to have a business, even if it steps outside of farming, that covers the costs to produce the good food and also make sure that everyone can have access. So it's no small task, but basically I would have 100% build it from the start in mind that there's going to be costs and they need to be covered in some way. So one of the ways that we've looked to move towards making our farm more financially stable, Kim, is that when we set up the private members club, we've done a £50 membership fee. So that is a fee that doesn't get you anything other than access to the project. So for that £50, they get access to the land, access to the food, and access to the community, like the three core things we've got here. But they don't get the food included with that £50. It doesn't get you any food. So what that means is that every member we've got, beyond their food purchases, is contributing to the kind of significant cost of the project. So I would definitely incorporate that as a fundamental thing. And people are very happy to pay that. Like, if you look at what some people spend money on, people that know what's going on in the world, they value good food, they value access to land. £50 is not a lot to spend to be able to come and spend time here, your kids be here, to know your farmer, to have access to the food security that comes with knowing your farmer on a personal level. So you can have a membership fee. And what we done when we launched that was we also said, like, you need to contribute a certain amount. Like, we'll let you say what it is. You've got a large family, you're going to get 50% of your food from the farm. What we found was, though, that the verbal commitment wasn't honoured by people. So although they said, yes, I want this food and I've got this size family and I'll get 50% of my food from the farm, a lot of people just didn't do it. I don't think it's a kind of a lack of sincerity. I think we're battling here against like the ultimate convenience of the supermarket, right? And it's like, I'm like it myself. I buy stuff off Amazon all the time because it's so easy, right? And we're competing with this model where people can go in the supermarket and get any form of food for cheap at any time of year. So we have to, although we can't match a supermarket, we have to bear in mind that we need to provide a level of service with what we do as well. Like, this is our realization. If it's hard for people to do and it's clunky to work with and it's really slow and it's all these things, it's like people just won't use it. So you have to, whether you like it or not, in my opinion, you've got to compete with the realities of the world. You need some kind of way where it's simple for people to get involved. It's an enjoyable process. They can pay a fair amount and get a decent service and a good quality product. So ultimately, again, it comes back to this thing. It's like, it needs to be a decent business, is my kind of ultimate conclusion. But to go back to my point about the 50% membership not being enough, we've now got also a £50 minimum spend. So for example, if we've got 20 members, at a minimum, we know those 20 members will spend £100 per month each, because they've got a £50 membership fee, but they also must at the minimum make a £50 per month allocation to get food. So if you are a member, you are spending at a minimum £100 per month with the farm. £50 of that is just for access. £50 gets you £50 worth of food in allocation. So that's a model where you can cut. And obviously, that's just a generic example for our terms. That still doesn't bring us anywhere near financial stability. I think in the future, we will have to look and say, like, if you're a family of 5 and you're saying you're going to have 50% of your food spend with us, that in reality equates to 400 or 500 quid a month. Are you genuinely happy to commit to spending that? And if they're not, it's like, the problem is, right, if people want the privacy and the food security, you've got a finite amount of customers. So we're looking at 100 families here. So let's say in a theoretical situation, we get our 100 families, they say they're going to buy the food, we produce the food and we have all the costs with it. And then I've been busy, I don't order. What does that mean for us? We've got nowhere else to go. We're a private members club. We want to offer these people direct food security. We haven't really been courageous or upfront enough with saying, you have a responsibility here as well as us. If you want us to grow this food, you want us to put the work in, you want us to do the cost, you want us to borrow the money, fine, this is your side of the bargain. And it just needs to work. Like, we've only been able to get through these early stages because at the start we saw the financial challenges, and me and Alfie decided to set up Wild Minds. We had a massive demand for people that wanted to learn from our experience. We set that up, and that has helped us to subsidize the farm while we're learning. If I was starting from scratch now, I would put a lot more effort into that financial model at the start. And like, I'm probably like, I don't want to be really negative here, and it sounds like, oh, it's all doom and gloom, but like, just telling you from the real experience, it's like one of the hardest parts of this. Like, as much as we're awake, we're still living in the real world where we've all got bills to pay, we've all got families to feed, we've all got stuff we need. So I think you want to get that financial model right, and you want to at the start get people to commit to their side of the bargain. So you're like, it sounds like you're happy to like do the hard work of running the project, which is no small role, right? You're going to organize, you're going to project manage, you've already secured the land. You want to be saying to people, Kim, like, your side of the bargain is this, and that side involves a financial contribution that just make sure, like, we're not trying to make money out of people here. Like, we're trying to have a thing that provides us all the fundamentals of life. But you may find yourself in a position like us where you take on an unfair amount of the responsibility, and then you're kind of fit, like exactly like you said, you don't want to end up filling in those financial gaps. So yeah, bit of a kind of long answer there, but hopefully that's helpful.
No, it is really helpful, and it is really important because I've bought this thing and I've sunk a lot of money into just growing, setting beds up for vegetables. The amount of money I've spent just on getting compost and things is like tremendous. And then to be digging up and selling potatoes for £2 a bag on the front, it's just there's like no comparison to what the amount of effort put into what the actual reward is from it. So as a functioning business, there's no way that I can live off it.
Yeah.
I'm like the supporter of it.
Yeah.
Do you, so there was an element that I was considering is having this, but also doing like wellbeing activities and hosting like forest school sessions and things like that on the land. So it's just connecting people with nature. And children for homeschooling and things like that. Not necessarily people living on there, but that they can come and run sessions. Because one of the ladies that works with me on it, she's a forest school leader at a school in Manchester. So she's really interested in hosting something like that. So I know, because there was an element of it that I was thinking around creating like a community interest company to try and fund some of that element of it, to offer it to the community. Is there anything that you can say around that, like getting grant funding or anything like that? Is
I
it
know
something
a few
you
people that do things with children through CICs, and they basically run their businesses from continuous funding. Obviously, it's not a guarantee. I don't really, like I said, I've got no direct experience with it, but they get funded, but they never know whether they're going to get the next one because it's a constant application cycle. So it doesn't seem like a very, I don't know, I maybe feel a bit vulnerable doing that. I feel like I'd rather have the pressure, but at least the control of it myself. So yes, you can do it. There definitely seems to be money, particularly for children. There does seem to actually be some genuinely like beneficial schemes related to like exposing children to like high quality forms of food production and, you know, connecting them with their food and stuff like that. So yeah, you could definitely look into it. Like we've got a guy, Darren, that provides Wild Venison, Exmoor Game School. He works nearly exclusively with like disabled children or children with special needs. And he's a really nice guy, amazing guy, having a really big impact. But his business basically just constantly is getting grant funding. So that's an example of that, yeah.
Because I was thinking of running, like I'm doing it as a sole trader at the moment for the farm side of it. I do have other businesses that I run, but I want to transition into a lifestyle that feels more aligned with me. So the CIC element I was thinking of creating alongside it, and also I do belief coding, and also I do equine therapy for people to come. So I'm hoping that I can do more of that kind of sessions and have it like a bit multifaceted, where there's different income streams come in, and then hopefully it'll support each other.
I think that sounds amazing. What I would do though, Kim, because what you find yourself with is you're doing lots of separate things that all need separate systems. They've got separate customers. You will find yourself doing all of those things poorly, is my personal experience. It's quite a well-established kind of principle of business. What we do now is we combine all of those things into a single offer with a single customer set. So you could say, I mean, whether you can do all of it, and I don't know, we need to understand your business a bit more, but you find people that want the kind of belief coding, but also want the food, and also are happy to contribute a bit of their time and pay some kind of access fee. So you make an offer that includes all of those things. And that's kind of like, so that would be the vision for your site. You want to achieve these things, and you open it up for membership access that includes a combination of those things. Otherwise, it sounds like you're running kind of like 4 or 5 different businesses. They all need different accounting. They've got different customers, you know, different email addresses. Like you just find yourself absolutely lost in the work. So basically, we used to run a home education day separately. What we've done now is incorporate that as a key component of our private members club. So when you pay that £50 per month, you get access to our Thursday home education sessions for the children. And that just done away with a whole entire separate business that needed its own Facebook page, its own email, its own customer services. And it's all, and it also adds value to your core offer. So again, instead of having several kind of weaker offers that you make to lots of different people, you have one really amazing thing. And you also then deliver a really good service. So you don't constantly need new people, because people sign up and they're like, oh, I'd never leave this. This is brilliant. I can come here and, you know, get all of these wonderful things. So that would be my advice.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Kim. Andrea, we've got you next. Very excited to speak to you, actually.
Hi, Billy. Yeah,
Hi.
nice to speak to you.
How are you?
By the way, your pronunciation is correct. Yeah, it's
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
The Y is like pronounced ist. Yeah, yeah. So it's I'm not quite sure what it means. It either means like making cheese, or it means like the east end of the valley. So yeah, and the lake is called is Sundsvatn. So it's Eastersund. So yeah, there's a few local people are unsure what what the exact meaning is, but it's a one-off. There's no other Eastersund in Norway, so we thought, well, we'll stick with that because the name will stick. And I think there are a few Eastersund surnames in America, because one contacted us many years ago. So so that's where I am now. I also have the other project in near Matlock, Derbyshire, which is Dale, which is an 8-pitch nomad site, actually new, and it's a very long story, but again, this is a 200-acre place, but the place in the UK is 1.5 acres. However, around it's got a lot of land all around, so there's lots of opportunities there, so if anyone's interested in that. By the way, I don't even know how to change this, but I'm down as you and YOU on here, and I've been searching on here how to change it. If anybody has any ideas,
your name is shown as Andrea on my screen.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's your full name, Andrea
Right,
Hodgkinson.
Okay, because on mine it just says you, you see. So I don't know if that's everybody else. I don't know.
No, because I've got my name displayed, but there's some people nodding no, so maybe that is the case for a few others.
But as long as, because I was thinking you won't know who I am, so that's fine. Okay. What my question was, your business structure. When I say business, just the structure that you use. I did, because that's one thing we're trying to figure out for both the UK place and here. What is the best structure to set up, really, that keeps things simple. But was it? I mean, presumably you're in like the tax system and all that, which I hate because I've just been trying to do a VAT return for something, and it was a nightmare, and I could verify this, and I couldn't get signal, and I nearly gave up. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got we bought the land in a limited company. It's a bit of a last minute choice, but I'm actually really glad I did. Multiple benefits to it. For our situation in the UK, it gave a kind of a degree of credibility when engaging with the local authority and stuff. I felt like it was just a beneficial structure to operate in for that kind of higher degree of professionalism. It also allows you to create partnerships and take investment a lot easier. So when Alfie bought in as a partner, very simply granted him 50% of the shares in the company. By default, then he owns 50% of all of the company's assets, one of which was the land. It allows you to take investment easier as well. So if you want to get funded or do a co-ownership program, for example, imagine doing a co-ownership program and taking, money off of 40 different people personally. It's kind of a weird dynamic. So it's like people are giving you money for something that you already own personally. Whereas with the limited company, it's a thing that's outside of personal ownership. The money goes into that entity. It's protected because that entity owns the assets. So it's kind of, it's a superior way to structure kind of creative investment around getting your project funded would be another benefit. And yeah, as I said, it's good for partnerships. We've then combined that with the private members club, which is completely different. But we've got this relationship between the two entities, and this is perfectly legal and lawful. You can basically create agreements with yourself via these entities. So the farm rents a certain portion of the land to the private members club and this infrastructure and that. And between these things, you get more flexibility because they're such different entities. You can utilize them and deploy them in different ways. And then as well as them being different, they have a relationship with each other, which can be tax efficient. Like, for example, a private members club that never extracts any, let me get this right. If you never draw any profit out of it, you don't have to register with Companies House and you don't have to keep accounts or pay any tax. So our private members club isn't registered with any government entity. We don't have to keep books and we don't have to pay tax as long as we never draw a profit from it. So that's an example of like a benefit that you don't get with a limited company. Yeah. We definitely have ambitions to go down the trust route. We just haven't been in a financial position in the sense that it's expensive to do it. And also I feel like it seems, on a surface level anyway, because I'm by no means an expert, it seems that to have the benefits of it, you need to almost be making money to justify having these trusts that are tax efficient. So also on a note on that, in the UK, got a friend of mine that is really clued up on trusts. His name's Chris. He's in the community, Chris Holden. He said during COVID, they changed or even overhauled all of the trust laws in the UK, and they're no longer anywhere near as tax beneficial as they used to be. So something to consider if you're looking at those, which isn't surprising, right? There's a way that you can reduce your taxes. It won't be the case like that for very long. So yeah, that's the structure we've got at the moment, Andrew, if that's helpful.
Right, okay, because yeah, just want to keep it simple. Want to do what's the simplest, because you know, if we didn't ever have to pay all this, you know, and be involved, you know, if we don't have to pay any VAT on stuff and all this lot, you know, I'd love to be out of the system completely, because it's just a, you know, you pay tax on everything, don't we? And it's crazy, but yeah, and it's getting worse. So yeah. I don't think there's anything we don't pay tax on, is there?
It doesn't seem that way, does it?
But
yeah,
I
suppose I was going to say, like, a case of like, what's your goals? If the outcome you're trying to create is clearly defined, then you could look at that and say, which entity best serves me in the process of, you know, achieving this vision. So, I mean, I know loosely from your project description, you want the things that everyone does here. You want a community for the land, people contributing their skills, knowledge, labor, and resources. But you have a kind of a clear end outcome that you are working towards.
Yeah, because it's difficult because we've got two projects, but the UK site, which is Rivendale, which is 1.5 acre residential nomad pitches in Derbyshire, central Derbyshire, that we're looking at possibly like a co-housing thing, and so that and people invest in it if they can, or we're looking at funding, speaking to a few people at the moment about possibly getting funding to develop it, to put in all the infrastructure. But they've got the planning now, so that's good. Then we just need the people. So we've got the land, we've got the planning, we just want the people and the infrastructure, and then we're good to go.
Sounds like a limited company would make sense for that. If there's going to be that people involved, taking investment or co-ownership, it's going to be expenses that would be more efficient to run through a limited company. So it sounds like that. Don't take my word for it. Like I said, I'm by no means an expert. If you've got someone that can give expert advice, I'd take it. But I think it would definitely be superior to trying to manage all of that personally. Doesn't sound like it warrants like a charity or anything of that kind of level.
Yeah, because the sort of people that we're not sure at the moment whether or not people buy a pitch and then be like own an eighth of the site. So they own a pitch, and then which is permission to have, you know, like a home, or well, they would be actually be like they say when they think of tiny home, it'll be like a real home, because we're looking at like something that's very energy efficient, passive energy unit, but then something that is minimalist. You know, I've been going through things and thinking, never use that, won't ever use that. It's going, you know, just bringing everything right down to the bare minimum of what's necessary. So these homes each one could be for a family, and so whether or not people can afford to rent or to buy, or whether we do a combination. So what one person suggested co-ops, so that was what the possibility for that, because apparently the government are doubling some funding. Again, it's getting yourself tied into not keeping things simple, but if it then, so we're looking at pros and cons, but yeah, and then people have mentioned like CIC, so you know, that's another way, because it's basically it'll be giving back to the community by providing essential housing. There's a lot of people that are living on farms, they're not even down in all the numbers. The kids can't get to schools because they're on some remote farm, and those person haven't got the money to keep the vehicle on the road, and blah blah blah. Whereas this site is quite good, it's on a bus route, so if people do want to get into the schooling system, which, you know, not all schools are bad, and you know, if you have a voice, you're a parent of a child, speak up if you don't want something, say it, you know. You've got a voice, you know. I think keeping kids out of school might be a good thing in some ways, but in other ways probably not. So, you know, people need to weigh that up. But that's one of the, and then it also gives people, for nomads, a lot of them are really struggling with like bank accounts. Can't get a bank account, you know, all of this digital stuff these days. They need a fixed address to be able to function. They can't function. A lot of them perhaps using a relative's address. Nobody lives forever. That address is gone, you know. So it's and it's a long story, but we basically ended up with permission for a traveller site. But a traveller, the rule is, you know, the definition of a traveller is quite broad now. It could be a YouTuber, for example.
Yeah.
So you know, it's people that travel for their work. So we're hoping, if people are interested, we can do sort of a, you know, like an open day there, and you know, a weekend or something, some point in the near future.
We could definitely help with that. We've got massive van lifer kind of demographic within our email list and social media following. So if you need exposure, we could definitely. It sounds like a really cool project, by the way, as well. I love it. Like solving so many problems for people
and
that live that lifestyle.
Yeah, first in the UK, to be honest. Because I think there is something perhaps in the US I've seen. Can't quite remember what it was called now, along similar lines. But everybody was investing in land to be able to have somewhere solid that they could know they could go to, and they won't be moved on. So yeah, so that's the idea about that one. Regarding this place where I am now, Norway, so we're in central southern Norway, which is in West Telemark, and it's, I mean, we're always wanting to we've had woofers before, and some of them have been really brilliant, and some of them have just thought it was a free holiday, you know, how it is. You know, the ones that were good, that were basically ones that wanted to do forestry and veterinary, you know, and those kind of things for a living. But also there was all others that were kind of lost in the world. This was before all this last 5 years nonsense happened. You know, and when they came here, you know, it was a good thing. But like I say, we want to have people here and build actually a community, because there's a main house which is too big for us. I mean, we're going to do tourism, but we're thinking, well, there's got to be something better that this land can provide for people, because there's so much here. The lake is full of fish, the mountains is full of we've got you know, there's moose and you know, lots of deer, and so if anybody with hunting skills, you know, it's self-sufficiency. I mean, you know, there's loads of blueberries everywhere, mushrooms and things like that, and production of food, you know, using you know, sort of, yeah, I would say keeping pigs and goats and things like that. We've had cows, Highland cows, and goats. That's a bit of an issue to do with yeah, it went fine, but this food systems, there was a woman that came into the area, and she was trying to put the livestock farmers out of business by, well, shutting them down basically. She's been trying it. She tried it with us, and then so we had to end up.
Has anyone else lost Andrea?
We can get more people here, which is more support, so that then if you do get people from officialdom coming on site and then giving you hassle for no reason, you know, it's just that intimidation all the time. There wasn't actually wrong with our animals or anything, you know, because our animals are very precious to us, but it was just the stress and the constant pressure and the messaging and the emails and the turning up on your doorstep wanting to check things, and they weren't happy, and then they were making like false accusations, and that's the sort of thing we thought, no, we're not doing this. So we just, you yeah, it was very, very stressful. For now we've got horses, which because for years we've used horses for forestry work through, in fact, mainly in the UK. But then I got arthritis, so what we decided to do was we come to Norway, and we were breeding them. So we've been breeding these really fantastic work horses for people around Norway. So at the moment we've actually got four. We've got two Shire mares and a Clydesdale colt and a Clydesdale stallion, and they're good all round workhorses. So there's quite a lot of people in Norway still using horses for work. I'm not sure about the other areas of the world, but yeah, they are. So that's something we're doing at the moment, but we are restructuring everything so that we can bring in people to actually live here, build some small ecological, like energy efficient passive units, probably about the size of, let me just show you, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little old house over there. There. Yeah.
In the background.
You can see that little old house there. That's 30 square meters. So we were thinking along those lines to build a few more of those, because that's one of the old houses, 18 something or whatever. And whereas they use the main house as a community house, so that everybody is a place for people to come and gather and meet, but then people go back to their own private spaces. And then I really like the idea where people are talking about people have their own little thing that they're doing that they're in control of, but then if they want to step away and leave somebody in charge, they could do so. And we're not spring chickens anymore, but so if we can get people, different generations coming in, I'm not quite sure here how we would structure it, because we own the place outright here, but whether or not it's something that we can rent a pitch where people have their own sort of small house on that they can come, and I know there's a particular thing in Norway where I think it's for like colonial or something, people can come and stay for 6 months, or that's like like an allotment, but they can have a little house on it, and I think that's up to 30 square meters. So that was an idea, but then I don't know how, with the 3 month visa restrictions and all that, for people coming from different areas of the world, even Europe now, I think they can only come for 3 months possibly as well, so people from the EU. So we'd like people to be able to just come and live here. So that's also a possibility, is whether people come and maybe we can look at different ways, people live here and also people come here to sort of like have a working, well, not really working, but like an experience learning holiday as well, because it is really fantastic nature here, and that's something we're really proud of, because we don't use any, we've always had this ethos of we've won awards for our business in the UK to do with conservation and using holistic approaches to management of woodlands and so on. We've had pigs in the UK. We had wild boar, Tamworth wild boar cross, the Iron Age pigs. We had a herd of those, and we actually sold some of our pork in Chatsworth farm shop, and we heard we said, would the Duchess like to try some, because we were keeping the pigs behind Chatsworth, and apparently she's already tried it and she enjoyed it, and we were like, all right. So so along with using horses for work and forestry, so we've got heaps of timber, and so there's so much potential here, but it just needs the people. And we were thinking of just doing tourism, but then we know where the world's going, and we thought, well, we could have a plan A and a plan B, so tourism, and then if things get to tits up, then we could have a community. But I thought, well, we might as well just plan now that's why I'm so glad that you've created this you know, community. You know, I'm really grateful for that, Bill, because we've been not wanting this for a long time and trying to figure out how do we get you know, people that are on the same wavelength, as to, you know, food security and connection as well. You know, sort of all together in this space, and hopefully, you know, maybe we should do farm swaps, and we can go there for a bit, and someone can come here.
Yeah.
Or,
I'd love to visit 280 mountain in Denmark. Sounds incredible, and like such a massive resource you've got there. I'm so glad that you did decide to, because tourism's okay, but it's like it doesn't really, like, you've got the potential to really impact people's lives in a big way with your site and opening it up and offering kind of lifestyle and access to experience and land. So it's amazing.
Yeah, because you know, I mean, we want to aim at people that are like all around the world, because we love meat. We had some guy come from New Zealand, and you know, when we were roofing and stuff, and we love that connection. But we want more of a commitment thing, because we know what we're facing.
Yeah.
And especially against the fight against meat, because I have actually ended up becoming carnivore because I have rheumatoid arthritis, and by eliminating everything that's foreign to my body, which is like, I'm made of protein, fat, salt and water kind of thing, you know, calcium or whatever, but you know, I'm when I realized I needed to do that, and so that's a really good healing thing. And there's a lot of plants out there that are quite toxic, I've learned by my own experience. So yeah, Norway historically is its land supports livestock farming, wild food production as well, you know, hunting and so, and fishing and so on. But also, you know, so we're open to whatever suggestions people throw in, you know, and then just take it from there, and meeting people. I've had a few people message me already, so and I want to, you know, and if we could do like an open day here, or perhaps every month do an open day or something like that, you know, where people can come and or not say an open day, but you know, come and camp, you know, put the tent up by the lake and go swimming, and because it's really warm, the water. Somebody came recently and they went, put a hand in, they expected it to be cold, and it's warm. And they're like, what? Because it was 42 degrees in the sun the other day. So so yeah, in the shade it was like 32. So but yeah, when there's no spraying the skies, which normally there isn't, and we've only noticed it the last few years, but yeah, and although nature does fight back, you know, it tends to weigh up, you know, if they have been messing with the clouds, and I'm not even sure why that is, but it's something to do with spreading the internet around the world, who knows, you know, they're not going to tell us the truth, but and maybe there isn't anything harmful. That's the way I'd like to look at it, you know, although we need the sunshine, so that's an important thing. But here we have so much wildlife, and it swings and roundabouts depending on the weather, you know. Some things do better, like, you know, with whatever they're doing with the weather, it always, nature always fights back. So but we have an amazing place here, and people are very welcome to message me, and if you want to come over, you know, even for a short period of time, you know, and you can contribute some kind of skill, you know, with horses, or you know, forestry as well. You know, we've got lots of years of forestry experience, but unfortunately, because of my disability, I'm not that able to do a lot of the physical stuff, but I can give a lot of advice, you know, safety aspects to do with horse work and so on, and so can my husband as well. So so yeah, and again, fishing, there's loads of lakes around here. There's a big lake, we've got a fishing cabin on it, on the floating pier, massive fish in there apparently. I'm really wanting to get some fishing done, but there's no people to do it, so you know, it's
I'll bring my little boy up to your farm. He's fishing mad at the minute. He keeps going
really,
down to the river and
yeah,
catching
yeah.
fish.
And
He
it's,
thought he caught a bass at the beach the other day. He's only
yeah,
10, but he's teaching himself, and he's mad
yeah,
about fishing.
yeah.
It's a
Well,
great
you're right.
skill as well, yeah.
Anybody's welcome, you know, because we just yeah, I just want to give everybody a big hug and say, look, come on,
Yeah.
let's all get together and get producing some really good quality food, and that heals people as well, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm largely carnivore as well to manage autoimmune diseases. It's what
Really,
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
People
mean,
don't-
I've lost 20 kilo and I nearly died, you know, of acute kidney failure. And I think it was a combination of bananas, banana smoothies and dates, and not getting out in the sunshine, and yeah, just different things. And I think it all added up, and not being mobile. And then that was it. I just, yeah. So, and then I realized that the carnivore, I think I might have been, I just started it. And I think, but I was in a really big detox going on. And yeah, I think everything just, so, but I'm really glad to have survived and come back, because I wasn't ready. I was there in a hospital thinking, I've got too much to do. How's
got these
going?
projects to deliver.
You know, so I came back from 8% kidney function, you know, with salt and water mainly. And you know, yeah, I'm really excited to try and yeah, make this place, how should I say it, give this place a real purpose, for some people, because everybody that comes there goes, because I don't know if you can listen how quiet it is. It is, you can hear a pin drop, and not all the Norwegians come here and they go, wow. And years ago, there's a guy came here and he goes, shh. He goes, shh. Perfect, he said, and he was for tourism. But we decided we didn't do it in the end. But you know, it was like a high hostels thing we were going to do, but then they went expanded, so we didn't do it. So we always wanted to do tourism here, but tourism isn't quite enough for us. I think we really want to make the most of this land, and the amazing nature and stuff we've got here. We've got so much wildlife and the birds, and yeah, and to get like a herd of pigs as well, to keep them through the summer, and mix those with the goats. Because we did that in the UK many years ago. We had goats and pigs together. And when we pulled them off, English Nature actually said, wow, look at all these wild flowers. And we're like, yep. And, you know, that's what the pigs and the goats did. They basically converted the land to another era, you know. So yeah, so we've got a lot of things going on, trying to juggle here and the UK. And both have got to happen. And as I said, if anybody's interested in either or both, just send me a message. And yeah, lovely to speak to people. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Andrea. Wow, amazing. What a resource. 200 acres. We've got Ellie Terry. You got a question?
Yeah, it's just a quick one. So I was just exploring like the idea of cows, because right now I have the opportunity to go and like get a bit of work at a cow farm, a dairy farm, and it's just down the road from me. And because we do have quite a lot of time until we've actually got the land, I was just wondering the practicality of profit and the actual money making part of the cows, because if that was to be an asset, I would definitely like to have a picture in my mind of what the actual practicality of it is.
So it's really exciting. Cows are amazing. They are like just amazing. Like from a food security perspective, you cannot beat them. I think he was on the call the other day in the 30-day land program, and I spoke to Solar, right? And it's like cows is a walk-in freezer. One for cow feeds a family for like 6 months. So they're incredible for that perspective. They're actually quite easy to look after when you're talking about beef cows. if you want to utilize them regeneratively, you can't just give them free roam. You need to move them around the land in a particular way that manages the impact they have. But like I also touched on earlier, if you don't want to be idealistic, if you've got grazing and you get cows, they're actually quite low maintenance. Like, you need good fencing to keep them in. They need water and they need grass at a fundamental level. That's all you're dealing with. And they are actually a profitable enterprise. From what I can tell, running at the scale we're at, it's not profitable for us for two reasons. We don't have a big enough land base, and we have to pay someone to look after our cows because they're on a separate piece of land. So we pay him for the labour, and then it's quite transport heavy. It's 2 hours away. We have to take them down there, pick them up. But if we weren't paying those additional costs and we just had grazing, so you can buy a cow in the UK at the moment for like, I don't know, say 800 quid, but you would get back for that cow £2,500 worth of meat, and then you've got butchering costs at about 250, abattoir at about 180. So if you said 500 quid costs, 800 quid for the cow, and you end up with £2,500 worth of meat. And that's just like the meat and stuff as well. You've also got the bones, which we make broth. You've got the tallow, which we got the fat that we render down for tallow. You can get gelatin extracts from us. So there's loads of kind of value added products as well. So I think it is, if you've got a big enough land base, you can run it profitably. It's amazing food security.
So in Crete, it's very like, we have dry season and then we have wet season. In wet season, the land is just full of grass, and this is without us fertilizing anything. This is without any maintenance. But in the dry season, it's so dry. It's like there's no grass to be seen anywhere.
I know that there's regenerative farmers. There's a great book called Dirt to Soil, written by Gabe something, and he talks about how he transformed his farm back into this like beautiful ecosystem, basically managing with cows. There's also a guy called Alan Savory who developed it was years ago, I read it, but he's quite famous, that some kind of holistic framework for managing animals on land. He's really famous, and he particularly worked against desertification. So he used cattle and grazed them regeneratively to reverse desertification, which is when it becomes too dry, the ground cracks open, it can't maintain moisture and stuff like that. So I'm, again, as with most things, I'm not an expert here. I've done a bit of reading, so I don't want to tell you that cows will work in that scenario because I don't know they will. But I do know that there is people that have managed cows regeneratively in places where it's quite dry, quite deserty. So it sounds like it'd be viable.
I was watching the movie you recommended about the big farm thing. I can't remember what its name was exactly. Yeah, and I learned a lot about that, and it was just amazing how in 7 years it was pretty much perfect. Like, it was running itself in a way. But I just like in Crete, we're quite lucky because the laws are very easily bent. There's a lot of loopholes, very accessible. Like, it's an island, so it's not very like monitored, especially like farming and stuff, and a lot of community and off-gridness already. But I was just thinking, because I reached out to my brother just now, like about if he wants to be involved, and I'm planning on reaching him out. I just kind of want to grow, if it is the plan and if it is meant to be, and we do get the 60 acres. I don't really want to go into the vegan vegetation and all of that. Like, I'm not a big fan of, it takes a lot of work, and I've seen my own friends and family in greenhouses, and that's their life, and it's just not it for me personally in my lifestyle. I would prefer to have animals, and I would like those animals to kind of be free rein and just kind of need a checkup every day, just like a little
perfect for that, like, because with the pigs are very destructive. They take a lot more management. You can't just leave them somewhere, they'll completely destroy. You need to constantly move them. Although it will be bad ecologically if you do it with the cows, they won't destroy the land, they'll send it in a certain ecological direction. So like milk cows far more work than the beef cows because you have to milk them. Chickens and pigs also need grain, so you've got to constantly buy that in as a product. So like beef cows, if you've got that 60 acres, they'd be a great source of food, a great source of nutrients. Managed correctly, they'd be good for the land, and they can be profitable, and their food security. Like, beef cows are my favorite thing. My dream scenario, I wasn't thinking about my community. I just have a couple of 100 acres with a regenerative, like, beef being grazed on it. It's just incredible.
And in your opinion, that's highly profitable.
That's like a
But it's
good,
highly profitable. It's definitely the most profitable enterprise from what I can calculate when I'm looking
like
at the various.
if it was for me in my position, I'm not saying I want to make millions or anything. I'm just saying like on a practical basis with time, effort, and then the money you have to put into it, it's a
I'd say
profit. You will get profit from it.
get the most money back for the least amount of time on a big enough land base. It is profitable. That's not even including the food security stuff, and the nutritional profile with beef was just exceptional. So it's like, so it ticks every single box.
Okay. And just another question about the dung. Like, do you guys like collect the dung off the field and then fertilize the soil with it?
Of it, when you graze them regeneratively, they're fertilizing for you. So we move our animals around in a system where they're constantly on a new piece of land every couple of days. So they're fertilizing. In winter, we get a build up of manure because they're off of pasture. And what we're currently doing with that is maturing it, and it goes into the garden. That's only because we haven't got the machine to disperse it over the pasture. We would want that grass that's been eaten and converted into manure should go back onto the grass.
Okay.
But they literally just dung straight on the pasture.
So you don't like get, because like what I've seen in Switzerland is like a massive cow farming, like it's massive on it. And what I've seen is, because my sisters live next to a cow farm, is that they have like this tractor and it goes over and it literally spreads the manure that's already on the pasture. It's crazy. Or they harvest it and then they put it into like this spurter thing and it just goes.
That's slurry, quite a different thing. If you keep a lot of cows in a barn, you keep it in slurry silos, and then they go around with the tractor and the big trailer on the back, and they spray it back over the field. But that stuff stinks. It doesn't even smell like manure's got a, I wouldn't call it a pleasant smell, but it's not a bad smell like cow manure. But that slurry, it makes you like, oh, it's like they spray it till it spills over, and we can smell it in the caravan. We have to shut the it smells like unnatural. So, but that's a consequence of keeping a really large amount of animals like in a barn. They're often on some kind of.
So what would you say like is wise for 60 acres? Like let's say like we have 20 acres and the 20 acres are mainly just like for me, the horses and like the chickens and like whatever we want to do with that. That's just free reign, whatever we want to do. But then like the other 40 acres, how many cows would you estimate would be like the goal that would be maintainable without having like another pair of hands, or just me, for example?
Well, with cows, like once you get them in a routine, like one person, so say you had 40 acres, very roughly, again, don't obviously, you can say like a cow an acre if they're not a massive cow, right? So you could have up to 40 cows on 40 acres. Again, this is without any kind of consideration of how you're going to manage them, are you going to move them regeneratively, etc. And like you can move 10 cows, it's the same amount of work as moving 40 cows. You go, you open up the new paddock, they go in, close it, you walk around and check them, make sure their eyes are okay, is any of them limp, they lame, etc. But so my spell renting on a farm, it was a 400-acre regenerative beef farm. He had something like, I don't know, 200 cows at the time or something like that, and he used to do a morning check and an evening check, and that was that was his main routine. Obviously then there's when the vets come and they got a TB test, when they're calving, when they need tagging, when there's a boy that he wants to be a steer, you've got to put the elastic band around the testicle. So there's all of these other jobs, but the basic continuous maintenance mode was not huge, and that was like 200 head of cattle. So you know, it's like, it's like a market garden will be so much, like you touched on, will be so much more work for less calories, less nutrition, and less money back. So beef are amazing. Like get stuck into some research.
And beef is so expensive in Greece as well. It's like crazy. There's not a lot of cows in Crete anymore. It's mainly a sheep place.
Well, there may be a reason for that. I don't know. Like have chats with farmers, right? Because if they've been working the land for a long time, they'll probably turn around and say, also don't take it as gospel, because you said they can be narrow-minded. They might have been brainwashed into the conventional agricultural model, but they also might have some insight as to why are they sheep-based farming.
Yeah, I mean, from my observation, they're very like, Cretans are very lazy in the way they farm. So they would rather take like 1,000 sheep across the mountain and just let them do their thing, and then go get them like 2 days later, go find them. And then cows are more like, they're heavy, they're bigger, and you need to have, and they're more obvious. Like sheep are very like, in my village, we're very rural, so we're not very like mainland, and like a lot of people know about everything and everything. It's just the village knows about what you're doing. And if there's a cow and he's on someone's land, it's more obvious than
to be frank, 1,000 sheep, because the sheep go and they leave, but the cow, you've got to make sure you're tracking him, because the cow's a bit more stupid. Do you know what I mean? They're not in a herd of like 1,000 sheep where they all just like follow each other. But in my mind, like my husband kind of wants to hear from me what the vision of the 60 acres would be, because if we're having 60 acres, there's got to be some type of structure for it. We can't just get on there and be like, oh, we've got 60 acres now. I have to have some type of like, okay, well, this is what I want to do and work towards it.
Yeah, be great, low maintenance, kind of lower skill level, lower management, like higher return on investment in many ways. I think it'd be a great enterprise. And also, I know you said that you were a bit like, oh no, 60 acres instead of 15, but for the same price, you're now looking at a far larger acreage. And like, remember, you can as well, and like you can say to your husband, you can genuinely just not do anything with it if you don't want to. Like, just because you've got it, you don't actually have to. Ideally, you would make use of it, but also in the short term, again, especially, you don't immediately need to use all of it. You can absolutely work your way up to a plan that is harnessing the potential, but it's been sitting there for all of those years. It's like nature will just do its thing.
I just think it's such a massive gift and such a massive opportunity. Like, I'm just feel like those 3 years, it's just been waiting for me. That's how I feel. Like, it's just been waiting. So, like, and obviously Crete is, I know the land, like the soil, and the soil is like clay. So the water just runs over it. It doesn't stay in the soil. And like, I think cows and the way they fertilize the soil is just like a massive opportunity for also the locals to kind of see what Crete could be if we just have like that 60 acres, and then people start coming. Like, there's so many people that are overworked and they're literally working just for the meat. They're working just to feed themselves. They've got the house, but the land, and there's so much land that is just abandoned as well. So it would be amazing to be the first that could make.
Read these books, like Dirt to Soil by Gabe Brown, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's an incredible book. The other one is Alan Savory's Holistic Management, it's called. That's quite a dense book. It's quite, philosophical is the wrong word. It's quite like intellectual in nature, but it's an incredible book. Like, you'll get a real foundational understanding for regenerative agriculture. And they both.
Dirt to Soil. What was the other one?
Alan Savory Holistic Management, I think it's called.
Okay.
He's
and in
like,
the winter. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
In the winter, like, if you can't, obviously in the winter for us, it's just raining. It's not really like cold extremely. Is there a lot of, is it like you have to give them like hay or grass, or like you have to buy bales?
Yeah. So you've got, if you've got no grass, you've got to have winter feed, So you can cut that from your own land. So if you had 40 acres after the horses and you only had 20 cows, you would cut hay a couple of times from your additional acreage, and then you can swap it around as well. So you cut hay 1 year from this.
Yeah, but the thing is it's got 400 olive trees. So whatever is on the land, it's not going to be like super accessible for hay. That's the thing. It's going to be with olive trees, all the land.
You could longer term, you could adjust that system so that your olive trees are like what's called silvopasture. So it's really beneficial, actually. It's a really good combination. You can drive tractors or machinery through to cut hay, and you graze your animals in tree lanes. So it's actually part of our design here. And the benefits are the animals get like the shade and the shelter from the trees. So you don't have to have infrastructure when you're moving them around.
And they and then they have fertilized the soil as well.
Fertilize the fruit trees, so it's windbreaks for the animals when there's bad weather. It's shade in the sun. It's like really cool system. So look up that as well. It's a whole nother research field. Silvopasture or agroforestry, it's called sometimes.
Agroforestry. Okay.
Agroforestry and silvopasture systems. But that's what we're going to plant fruit trees and break up our grazing system with the fruit trees.
And in terms of like, sorry, I don't want to go on, I'm just really interested in terms of like food storage, like for your own little food bank, how do you preserve meat? Like, are you salting it, are you drying it, what are you doing?
Because we actually have quite a high turnover, so we're doing a couple of cows a month at the minute between ourselves and the community. So it comes in
just to feed yourselves.
No, to feed the farm community.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's maybe, I don't know, 250, 300 kg of beef a month.
Wow.
That comes frozen, we cycle through it, and then, we go again and top up with more cows. But yeah, we choose to freeze it just because it makes it so much easier to manage it. It's like entirely I'd love to get into sorting and stuff like that. But at the moment, like, we're more of a commercial operation in that sense. So that's a great thing on a kind of personal level, but it wouldn't suit our goal to feed these 100 families.
Okay. All right. So just to kind of wrap up, read those 2 books, and definitely look into like 40 acre goals. But like, I'm also, another side thing I have as well is just like, I would love to have a food bank which is like dedicated to the community and for our family, which is kind of something that I would have in the village, where I already have so many people that are definitely invested in this, but they're not going to put money down right now. It'd have to be already done, and for them to come and visit and come and see. But I'd love to have like an underground food bank, where I'm already researching about canning and salting and air drying. I actually am so lucky I have access to a dryer right now, so I can go and do an like fruit, just drying out fruit, which is amazing. So I would love to invest in like a food bank as well, which could be profitable, like just as a way of having someone maybe from the city of Crete or city of Athens, and they just want access to a food bank if everything goes down, that they just have that. I don't know if it would be a one-time payment. I don't know how it would happen, how it would work, but they would have, let's say I kill a cow once a month, and that meat is 100% dedicated just to the food bank, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with anyone else. And then that's, as you said, 300 and whatever kg straight into the food bank, and that could feed maybe like 2 families or whatever, I don't know. So yeah, I'm also looking at that. I just don't know what the structure would be of making that into profit.
Yeah, so I don't know how you do that. So it's a good idea. I think people would, be interested in it in some form. How you actually manage it, like how long does it sit there for? Is it an ongoing thing or a one-off? But yeah, because also you can just take that beef and obviously sell it and realize that capital.
Well, it wouldn't have to just be beef. Like there's a massive like bean farming in Crete as well. So it wouldn't even have to be my personal product. It would just be a food bank, and that food bank would be like, I've read, rice keeps up to 30 years, beans keep up to 30 years, honey is eternal, like all these things. It would just be a food bank that is just basically like a bunker in case everything has and no one has anything to eat. And for you to be guaranteed access to that food, you would have had to pay some type of like place in that.
Okay, yeah, it's a good idea. I think that's essentially what we offer, but on an ongoing basis. You're doing it as an emergency supply. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cool. No worries. All right, guys, it's nearly 9 o'clock. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions tonight. It's been an amazing call. Only a few hardcore people left, but thanks, everyone, for your time. Been really great to catch up with everyone. It will be May next week, guys, Thursday, 6 p.m. Then I'll be back the following week again to catch up with everyone. So in the meantime, guys, have a good couple of weeks, and I'll speak to you soon.
Have a good night. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.